I wake in the middle of the night, my throat dry and scratchy. The digital clock on the nightstand glows 1:17 a.m. in harsh red numbers. I'm back in my old bedroom. The walls still painted the soft yellow of my teenage years, lying in the same twin bed that now feels cramped against my adult frame. Mom's birthday dinner had gone exactly as expected. An upscale restaurant, polite smiles, and Camden being Camden. Another flawless family evening in Oak Ridge, at least from the outside. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, wincing when the floorboard creaks under my weight. Even after all these years, I know which spots to avoid. Some lessons from childhood never fade. The hallway is dark except for the thin strip of golden light shining from beneath Dad's study door. Strange. He's never awake this late, especially after 3 glasses of his favorite bourbon at dinner. I stop, hearing muffled voices, Dad's deep tone, then Camden's higher, more frantic one. Don't worry. Your sister will handle it, my father says. His words freeze me mid-step, one foot suspended. But what if she asks about the $65,000 loan? Camden's voice cracks the way it used to when he got caught stealing cookies before dinner. My heart thuds so hard I'm sure they can hear it. Charity trusts us, Dad replies, his voice slipping into that smooth, confident tone he uses when closing deals at the car lot. She won't question it if we tell her it's for a family investment. I lean closer, holding my breath. Look, Camden, it's simple. She takes the loan in her name. We promise her 12% returns, and by the time she figures it out, we'll have a plan. Camden exhales. But the crypto margin calls are $23,000. The sports betting is another $19,000, plus the credit cards. $20,000, $500. Dad finishes for him. I know the numbers, son. That's what family is for. Your sister's credit is excellent. She can cover this temporary setback. My stomach flips so hard I press my hand to my mouth. $65,000. More than my annual take-home pay, but what if... Enough. Dad's tone cuts sharp. Your sister will do this. She always does what's right for the family. I step back, careful to miss the creaky spots, though my legs feel weak. The water I came downstairs for is forgotten. I retreat to my room, close the door quietly, and sit on the edge of the bed. My mind replays dinner at Marcelino's, the priciest restaurant in town. Mom insisted on celebrating her 56th birthday somewhere special. Dad ordered a $120 bottle of wine while Camden talked about his new business, something to do with blockchain and passive income. Camden has such an entrepreneurial spirit, Mom had gushed, squeezing his arm. 5 years in and he's still finding his way, but when he hits, he'll hit big. I'd smiled and nodded, as always. When the $287 check arrived, I reached for it automatically. Camden patted his pockets. Man, I'm so broke right now, but I've got you next time, sis. Next time. There had been so many next times. The family emergency. Last year, that cost me $3,000. The car. Repairs, $2,200. Dad's temporary cash flow issue that took $5,000 from my savings. I'd been their personal ATM for years. Now they wanted the ultimate withdrawal. My hands tremble as I lock the bedroom door. I grab my laptop from my overnight bag and power it up, checking my credit report. Relief, nothing unusual yet. They haven't acted, I call Chloe, not caring about the hour. Char? Her voice is thick with sleep. It's almost 2. What's wrong? They're planning to steal my identity, I whisper, afraid they might hear me. My own family wants me to take out a loan they won't repay. What? Who? Dad and Camden. I just overheard them. They need $65,000 to cover Camden's debts. Chloe's tone sharpens. Those manipulative bastards. What will you do? I stare at the ceiling, watching faint shadows flicker across the glow-in-the-dark stars I stuck there at 12. They're faded now, barely visible. I won't let them turn me into their ATM, I say, my voice steadying. Not anymore. I open a new document on my laptop, titling it Financial Self-Defense. As dawn creeps through the curtains, I start a checklist first, pretend I heard nothing. Until I'm back in Chicago. Second, freeze. My credit at all 3 bureaus immediately. Third, change. Every password. The list grows as the sky lightens. By the time I hear movement in the hall, Mom, starting her birthday weekend pancakes, I have a plan. They raised me to be responsible, reliable Charity, the one who does the right thing. They never expected me to use those same traits to protect myself. What would you do if your family plotted to use you as their personal ATM? For me, the answer is clear. This bank is closing for good. Morning light spills through the curtains as I head downstairs for breakfast, my stomach in knots. Dad sits at the head of the table reading the business section while Mom flips pancakes. Camden hasn't shown up yet, probably sleeping off last night's bourbon. Morning, honey. Mom slides a plate in front of me. Sleep well? I force a smile. Fine, thanks. Every nerve in me screams to confront them, but I stick to item 1 on my checklist. Act like nothing happened until I'm back in Chicago. Dad glances up from his paper. Your brother might need help with his new venture. Something about blockchain. Sounds promising. The casual way he says it, like he wasn't plotting financial sabotage hours earlier, makes my coffee taste bitter. Interesting, I mutter, cutting my pancake into neat squares. Mom refills his cup. He just needs a little startup capital. You know how these things work. I bet she does. I clear my throat. I need to print some work documents before I leave. Mind if I use your printer? Help yourself, Dad says, waving a hand. In his office, the same room where last night's betrayal unfolded, I find the printer tray stacked with papers. Camden's credit card statements. My hands shake as I flip through them. Gucci, Nordstrom, MGM Grand Las Vegas. A $2,400 gaming system. Weekend trips I knew nothing about, all while claiming he couldn't pay for dinner. One due date is circled in red with Dad's handwriting. Char's visit, discuss investment, I was the investment. I slide the papers back and return to my room. Pulling out my laptop, I log into my bank account. The truth hits hard. I've been paying for the family's electricity, internet, and streaming services since I started working. Automatic payments I set up temporarily 4 years ago when Dad mentioned cash flow issues. 4 years. Thousands of dollars. I grab my phone and call Cousin Jane. Camden in Vegas again? She doesn't even hesitate. What do you mean again? You didn't know? He goes every other weekend. Posts it on his private Instagram, the one your parents follow but you don't. Private Instagram, I echo, my voice hollow. Uncle Victor covers most of it, I think. You know how he's always been with Camden. Golden boy can do no wrong. Golden boy. Memories rush back. Camden, at 16, crashing the family car Dad just laughed it off. Boys will be boys. I was 16, coming home 10 minutes past curfew, and got grounded for 2 weeks. Charity? Jane's voice snaps me back. You okay? Just thinking about patterns, I answer quietly. After we hang up, I text Chloe the latest updates. Her reply comes instantly. I've been saying this for years. Remember what Uncle Raymond told you at Christmas? I do remember. Uncle Raymond cornering me in the kitchen. They're taking advantage of your success, Charity. Victor's always favored Camden, just like his father favored him. I'd brushed it off as family drama. Now it feels more like a warning come true. My phone rings. Chloe again. I've been researching, she says without a greeting. Freeze your credit right now, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. I'll send you the links. Already on it, I tell her, switching between browser tabs. Filing fraud alerts too. Good, she says. If they wreck your credit, your entire life unravels. She's right. My Logan Square condo, bought last year for $355,000, nearly emptied my savings. My emergency fund, rebuilt to cover 8 months of expenses. My 8 and 12 credit score, the product of years of discipline, all balanced on a knife's edge. Camden crashed another car, I murmur. Realization dawning? Mom mentioned it at dinner, but I didn't think twice. They bought him a used one, $13,800. Mom even called it a bargain. While you drove that old Honda all through college, Chloe says, and worked 3 jobs. Anger tightens my chest. Remember when he mocked my boring bank job? Said I was wasting my life while he chased passive income? Which you're now actively funding, she reminds me. I pace the room. Every memory suddenly sharp. Camden's disdain for responsibility. Dad's manipulation disguised as praise. The constant refrain. Family helps family, but family shouldn't drain you dry. A soft knock. Mom steps in with fresh towels. Everything okay, sweetie? You look upset. I force a smile. Just work stress. Nothing serious, she pats my hand. You work too hard, not like your brother. He knows how to enjoy life. The irony stings so sharply I almost laugh. After she leaves, I stare at my financial files. All the years of sacrifice now at risk. My emergency fund built. from homemade lunches while coworkers ordered takeout. My condo earned by skipping vacations and new clothes. Credit score protected by never missing a payment, even if it meant eating ramen for a week. All of it. Endangered by the people who should have protected me. My family sees my success, not as something to celebrate, but as something to use. I close my laptop, a new determination forming. The question echoes as I pack for Chicago. When does helping family become enabling destruction? For me, that moment came last night at 1:17 a.m. when I heard my father whisper, "Don't worry, your sister will cover it all." 2 days later, I sit cross-legged on my bed in Chicago, sorting through a shoebox of old photos as my laptop powers on. Each picture tells a story my younger self couldn't grasp. In my favorite photo, 15-year-old me beams proudly, clutching a spelling bee trophy. Behind the smile hides exhaustion. Nights studying past 2 a.m. while Camden's video games blared through our shared wall. Mom framed the picture but kept it in the spare room, not beside Camden's participation ribbons on the living room mantle. "Second place is impressive, honey," Dad had said. "Maybe next year you'll win." I flipped to another photo, Camden grinning beside his NBA-themed bedroom, complete with a 55-inch TV and custom Lakers bedspread. That same month, Mom helped me arrange secondhand furniture, reminding me girls don't need fancy things. Camden needs motivation to succeed. The memory burns as vividly as ever. I set the photos aside and opened my credit monitoring app, the Freeze. Confirmations arrive from all 3 bureaus, each one a small relief. Step 1 complete. I remember washing dishes after my 16th birthday dinner while Camden played video games. Just 15 more minutes. Mom would say when I complained, "Your brother needs to relax." My timer beeps. 7 minutes until my scheduled video call with my parents. I've rehearsed my words a dozen times, yet my heart still pounds. The Washington, D.C. field trip had changed everything for me. While other students asked their parents for the $480, I spent 3 months juggling grocery shifts, babysitting, and mowing lawns. When I handed the money to my history teacher, he looked surprised. "Most parents just write a check," he said. I smile at the memory. That trip proved I could make my own way. When college applications arrived, my parents sat me down. "We've been saving for Camden's IT degree," Dad said, not quite meeting my eyes. "You've always been responsible. You'll figure it out." And I did. A 40% scholarship, 20-hour work weeks at the library and cafe, endless ramen dinners. While Camden partied through his freshman year, I calculated every loan payment down to the penny. The Chicago internship came from pure persistence. 37 applications, 15 rejections, 9 ignored. Finally, Midwest Financial Partners said yes. That summer, I slept on an air mattress with 2 other interns, saving every cent. By 27, I'd paid off my student loans and built an 8-month emergency fund. Every sacrifice had meaning. Every declined dinner invite was a step toward freedom from the instability I grew up with. Not now that hard-won independence is threatened by those who should be proud of it. My laptop screen displays my full financial self-defense checklist. Credit freeze, done. Fraud alerts, placed on new cards, ordered to my Chicago address. Parents, removed from all emergency. Contacts, passwords, changed. Two-factor. Authentication, activated. Everywhere, all automatic family bill payments have now been flagged for cancellation. When faced with such a betrayal, should someone immediately confront their family or secure their finances first? I chose security. Quiet preparation carries its own strength, even when my hands tremble. The video call rings. I take a deep breath and press accept. My father's face appears first, his confident smile carefully fixed. Mom joins soon after, patting her freshly styled hair. Camden slouches into view last, barely visible at the edge of the frame. "There's our girl," Dad says. "We were just talking about you." "I'm sure you were," I reply. My voice sounds steadier than I expected. "I heard everything 2 nights ago." Dad's smile falters. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "Your conversation with Camden in your study," I state evenly. "About using my credit for a loan." I keep my tone measured, detached. "About $65,000. The number lands sharply. Dad's expression moves from confusion to shock, then calculation. "You misunderstood," he offers, but the conviction is gone. We were discussing a family investment, something that benefits everyone. Stop lying. The words cut through his excuse. I heard everything. The crypto margin calls for $23,000, the sports betting for $19,000, the credit card debt of $2,500. Mom's eyes fill with tears. Charity. Family helps family. You know that. We raised you to understand responsibility. Yes, you did. I meet her gaze directly. That's why I'm being responsible with my finances and my boundaries. There will be no co-signing. No loans, no transfers. Camden finally looks up, face red. You've always been selfish. All that money in Chicago while your family struggles. What kind of person does that make you? The kind who works for what she has, I answer, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. The kind who's tired of being your personal ATM. Now listen here, Dad begins, leaning toward the camera, the same tone that once made me obey. But it sounds hollow now. No, you listen. Any attempt to use my identity will be reported to the police. I've frozen my credit with all bureaus. I'm also canceling all utility payments immediately. I hold up my phone, showing confirmation emails. You have 2 weeks to set up new payment methods for electricity. Internet and streaming services, Mom gasps. You wouldn't leave us without electricity. 2 weeks is generous, I reply. The words are bitter but necessary, and far more considerate than what they planned for me. We weren't stealing, Camden snaps. We were borrowing. There's a difference. Not when there's no intention of repaying. I lean closer to the camera. I found your statements in the printer yesterday. Designer clothes and Vegas weekends while I pay your electricity. It ends today. Dad's mask slips completely, his face twisting. After everything we've done for you, the sacrifices we made. What sacrifices exactly? Heat rises in my chest. My secondhand furniture while Camden got a full bedroom makeover? My 3 jobs for the Washington trip while you handed him spending money? Or maybe you mean telling me you couldn't help with college because you were saving for his degree? Mom covers her face, shoulders shaking. Camden storms out of frame. Only Dad remains, staring like I've become someone he doesn't recognize. We're your family, he says finally, voice lower. You don't turn your back on family. I'm not turning my back. I'm standing my ground. That distinction matters. You raised me to be responsible. I'm simply being responsible with my boundaries. The call ends with Dad stabbing the disconnect button. My phone immediately vibrates with incoming texts from Camden, each more desperate, then angry. I silence the notifications and close my laptop. The quiet of my bedroom feels different now. Not suffocating, but transitional. A space between who I was and who I'm becoming. Have you ever had to create hard boundaries with family? Chicago awaits me, and this time I'm choosing myself. The path to independence stretches before me, hard-won and finally clear. 3 days later, my phone vibrates for the 20th time today. Camden's name flashes on the screen again. His latest text more desperate than the last. You're killing me. Char. I'm going to lose everything. I slide the phone face down on my kitchen counter, watching Chicago's skyline through my condo windows. 3 days since the confrontation, and the fallout has been exactly what I expected and feared. The first wave came as pleading. Just this once, texts and family emergency calls. When those failed, Camden's messages grew darker. You always thought you were better than us. After everything we've done for you. Last night he called at 2:18 a.m., slurring his words. You know what? You've always been a selfish. I hung up before he finished. I close my laptop, a new determination forming. The question echoes as I pack for Chicago. When does helping family become enabling destruction? For me, that moment came last night at 1:17 a.m., when I heard my father whisper, don't worry, your sister will cover it all. 2 days later, I sit cross-legged on my bed in Chicago, sorting through a shoebox of old photos as my laptop powers on. Each picture tells a story my younger self couldn't grasp. In my favorite photo, 15-year-old me beams proudly, clutching a spelling bee trophy. Behind the smile hides exhaustion. Nights studying past 2 a.m. while Camden's video games blared through our shared wall, all framed the picture but kept it in the spare room and not beside. Camden's participation ribbons on the living room mantle. Second place is impressive, honey, Dad had said. Maybe next year you'll win. I flipped to another photo. Camden grinning beside his NBA-themed bedroom, complete with a 55-inch TV and custom Lakers bedspread. That same month, Mom helped me arrange secondhand furniture, reminding me girls don't need fancy things. Camden needs motivation to succeed. The memory burns as vividly as ever. I set the photos aside and opened my credit monitoring app. The phone rang twice more before I muted it completely. This morning, Chloe called out from her desk 3 rows away from mine. "Your brother just called me," she said, her voice tight with anger. "He told me you've been asking your parents for money for years, and now they're about to lose their house because of you." My stomach sank, and heat rushed to my face. "He called you at work?" "On my personal cell," she replied quietly. "How did he even get my number?" I closed my eyes, recalling my mother's insistence at last Christmas dinner on updating her contact list. My mother, of course. The pressure escalates with precision. My father calls my division manager to discuss my supposed mental health issues. Mother posts vague Facebook updates about ungrateful children, sparking a wave of supportive comments from hometown friends who don't know the full story. Then, Aunt Martha enters the picture. A warning text from Jane arrives first. "Martha's been sent to Chicago. Victor bought her ticket. Aunt Martha, my father's older sister, calls me from O'Hare. Your father says you're having a breakdown. I'm coming to talk some sense into you." "I'm not home," I lie, watching a pigeon settle on my balcony railing. "I'm leaving for a business trip." "Charity Elizabeth Carter, I changed your diapers." Don't lie to me. The professional side of me, the one trained to analyze risk, knows exactly what's happening. Each move targets my reputation, stability, and resolve. They're attempting a coordinated assault on my sanity, so I respond with my own plan. First, documentation. Every text, voicemail, and social media post saved and time-stamped. The recording of my father and Camden's late-night planning session uploaded securely to the cloud. Second, boundaries. Email filters send family messages to a separate folder I review only once a day. At 5 p.m., with Chloe nearby for support, calls go directly to voicemail. Third, reinforcements. I meet with Marissa, the financial advisor who helped me buy my condo. "They can't touch your assets without your signature," she reassures me, reviewing my accounts. "But I recommend closing any joint accounts immediately." "There aren't any," I reply. "I made sure of that years ago," she raises an eyebrow, impressed. Smart move. Next, the therapist. Dr. Walsh specializes in family financial abuse, a term I'd never heard before, but that fits my situation exactly. "What you're going through is more common than you think," she says, her office walls lined with degrees and certifications. "Financial exploitation often comes from those closest to us. The hardest part is how the community reacts," I admit. "My hometown thinks I'm the problem. Back home, Jane updates me regularly, my one remaining ally in Oak Ridge. Everyone's talking," she writes. "Camden's telling people you're hoarding family money." The town where I babysat for neighbors and delivered newspapers now buzzes with stories of heartless Charity, too wealthy and selfish to help her struggling family. But not everyone believes it. Uncle Raymond, my father's younger brother, calls unexpectedly. "Victor's always played favorites," he says, his voice rough from decades of smoking. "I told him years ago it would backfire. Hold your ground. Charity." Signs of progress appear in the second week. Jane reports Camden working morning shifts at the gas station and evening hours at the pizza place. My parents suddenly cancel their anniversary cruise, citing unexpected expenses. The gossip starts shifting as Camden's behavior becomes harder to hide. Then my phone lights up with a text from an unknown number. It's Becky Miller, Camden's high school girlfriend. "I believe you," she writes. "He tried the same thing with me last year, almost ruined my credit score before I caught on. Each boundary I hold strengthens the next. Every day without contact builds my resolve. The pressure remains constant. The calls, the rumors, the guilt. But something inside me has changed. I stand by my window, watching the sunset cast shades of orange and gold across Chicago's skyline. Dr. Walsh's words replay in my mind. Sometimes standing your ground feels lonely before it feels right. For the first time in weeks, I inhaled deeply without that familiar tightness in my chest. The guilt hasn't vanished, but it's softer now. Easier to see for what it always was, a constructed emotion. My family shaped me to be their safety net, their solution, their personal source of rescue. What they never realized is that the same sense of duty they relied on would eventually become the barrier they couldn't overcome. I glance at my phone and block Camden's latest number. Tonight I'll sleep without expecting another midnight plea. Tomorrow I'll go to work without scanning for ambushes disguised as family visits. The struggle isn't finished, but for the first time I feel like I'm ahead. The pastor's voice fills the speaker, dripping with concern. Charity, we're all worried about your spiritual well-being. Family is God's greatest blessing. I close my eyes, counting silently to 10 at the kitchen counter. It's been a month since the confrontation, 4 weeks of growing pressure from my family. Pastor Williams, I reply evenly. Did my father mention their plan for identity theft, or just say I abandoned them? The silence stretches. Victor only shared that they're struggling financially. Interesting, I respond, tracing circles on the countertop. Did he also tell you Camden lost $23,000 in crypto trading? Or another $19,000 on sports bets? Who? Another pause. Perhaps I should talk to your father again. After hanging up, I log the call in my spreadsheet, the 14th manipulation attempt since I drew my boundary. First came the constant texts and phone calls. Then the social media posts about ungrateful children. Now, they're rallying the community. The doorman buzzes. Miss Carter, your brother's here? Says it's a family emergency. My stomach sinks. I wasn't expecting him. Please tell him I'm unavailable, Frank. If he won't leave, call security. My hands are still trembling when my phone vibrates again. An email from Dad's account. The subject line reads, Legal action for family support. Inside is a single PDF, a poorly formatted letter threatening to sue me for filial responsibility and financial aid. Clearly not drafted by a real attorney, but the implication still tightens my throat. Another buzz. Mom's number. Against better judgment, I play the voicemail. Charity, sweetheart. Her voice cracks. They're shutting off our electricity tomorrow. It's freezing here. Your father says it's your fault, because you canceled the automatic payments. We raised you better than this. I stand by my window, gazing out at Chicago, 16 floors above the streets where people hurry through their lives, unaware of how quiet betrayal can be. How it whispers from those meant to protect you most. My doorbell rings, the internal one. Through the peephole, I see Camden. Somehow he's talked his way past Frank. I know you're in there, he shouts, pounding the door. You can't hide forever. I press against the wall, heart racing. I've called security, Camden. You need to leave. After everything we've done for you. His words slur. He's been drinking. One loan, that's all we needed. The elevator dings. Security's steady footsteps follow. Their tone is firm but polite as they escort my brother away. I slide down the wall to the hardwood floor, arms around my knees like when I used to hide from Camden's tantrums. But I'm not that child anymore. I'm done hiding. The next morning, I meet Sarah, my attorney. In her downtown office, on my lap rests a leather portfolio, emails, screenshots, voicemails, and the recording from that night. Proof of their betrayal. They're escalating, Sarah says. Scanning the documents. Your brother showing up at your workplace crossed a line. I nod. Remembering the humiliation, Camden shouting in our lobby before security dragged him out. The glances, the whispers. It's time for the cease and desist, I tell her. Include all the evidence. Sarah raises an eyebrow. All of it? That's extreme, especially the recording. They've left me no choice, I say steady. I've tried being reasonable. I've kept my distance. They're destroying what little reputation I have left in Oak Ridge. 2 days later, Sarah sends the certified letter, signed delivery required. A full cease and desist with a timeline of their financial manipulation, plus a USB containing the recording. The backlash comes fast. Dad calls within hours. How dare you, he roars. After all we've done for you, we gave you everything. You gave Camden everything, I reply, surprised at my calm. You taught me to earn what I wanted. Now I'm protecting what I earned. We're your family. Family doesn't plan identity theft over bourbon at 1 a.m. His breath catches. You don't understand? I understand perfectly. You and Camden made this mess. I won't clean it up. Mom calls next, her anger sharper than his. Why should you have more than your brother? She demands. What makes you so special? Her words hit hard. For years, I thought they favored Camden because he needed help. Now I see they resent my success. I'm not special, Mom. I just worked harder and made different choices. Uncle Raymond calls the next day. It's like a bomb went off, he says. Victor looked like he'd seen a ghost at church. The recording? Yeah, they needed to hear themselves. Everyone's talking. Even Aunt Martha went silent when Jane brought it up. He laughs. Hasn't been that quiet since her surgery. 2 weeks pass. Through the family grapevine, I learn Camden's credit has collapsed. Cards closed. Loans denied. Dad cashed out retirement funds, paying heavy penalties. The family home, once debt-free, now carries a mortgage. My credit, though, remains perfect. My savings untouched. My boundaries firm as steel. Then an email arrives from Camden. No demands, no excuses, just, you were right. I'm sorry, I don't reply right away. Some wounds need more than words. Some lessons require consequence. Standing in my apartment, surrounded by the life I built through discipline and effort, I wonder, would they have ever changed if I hadn't forced them to face reality? Or would they have kept draining me while telling themselves they deserved it? The answer is clear. Now, the Colorado mountains rise like a fortress beyond my Denver balcony, offering the safety I never found at home. 8 months since I left Illinois, and the distance feels far deeper than miles. My real estate agent called yesterday. Your Chicago condo sold for $383,400. After costs and payoff, you cleared $28,400. The money sits untouched in my account. Before, it would have been marked for another family emergency. This time, it's mine, entirely mine. A text buzzes from Valerie, a friend I met through a support group for adults from toxic families. Still hiking tomorrow? Weather looks great. I smile, replying absolutely. Need to break in my new boots. These are my people now, those who respect boundaries, celebrate wins, and never demand a share. On Tuesdays, I meet Dr. Winters, my therapist specializing in trauma. Still checking your credit daily? She asked last session. Weekly now, I said, shoulders easing. Progress, right? She nodded. Real progress. And the nightmares? Gone. Though I still keep my financial papers in a fireproof safe. Some habits protect us, she said. The key is whether they're driven by fear or wisdom. That question became my guide. Am I saying no from fear, or because it's the right limit? Am I saving from panic or from purpose? Today marks another milestone, my first time teaching a financial literacy workshop. The community center buzzes as I set out handouts. 20 attendees, most older than me, faces lined with the same worry I once carried. I'm not a financial advisor, I begin. Just someone who learned independence the hard way. For 90 minutes, I teach about credit, emergency funds, and predatory loans. Then a young woman in the back raises her hand. If my parents can't pay their credit card, do I have to? She asks softly. The room goes still. I see my younger self in her downcast eyes. No, I say firmly. Only the person whose name is on the account is responsible. Your job is to protect yourself. Her shoulders ease, relief flooding her face. I know that feeling. The freedom of realizing you're not bound to someone else's chaos. After class, she approaches. Thanks. My dad says I'll ruin the family if I don't help. I hand her my card. Family shouldn't demand your future. Call if you need support. 2 days later, another email from Camden, this time 12 sentences, no guilt, no manipulation. It starts with, I'm sorry, and ends with, I'm in therapy now, working 2 jobs to pay back what I owe. He mentions counseling, repayment plans, and no pressure for contact, just an open door. I craft a short reply. Thank you. I need time. Our quarterly check-ins stay financial only, no money exchanged. It's not forgiveness. Exactly, but it's close to peace. That afternoon, I open a handwritten note delivered to the center. It's from the young woman. I froze my credit and told my parents no. It was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. I trace her words with my finger, whispering the truth it took me 3 decades to learn. Protecting your wallet is the first step to protecting your heart. Looking out at the mountains, I realize I'm not just free from my family's financial control. I'm finally free to become who I was meant to be.